Coming up on this edition of VCU In-Depth, documentaries from students in VCU's Robertson School of Media and Culture.
Marriage equality is now a reality in Virginia, but does that mean no more challenges for gays? We'll find out the answer tonight.
And we'll see how Richmond has become known for its street art and ask, how much is too much, or can there be too much?
VCU In-Depth begins right now. Hello and welcome to this edition of VCU In-Depth. I'm Summer Jamal.
And I'm Preston Thompson. Thanks for joining us as we feature documentaries from undergraduate students in VCU's Robertson School of Media and Culture. Ever feel discriminated against for simply being who you are? Do you feel safe in your workplace?
In a survey this year, 21% of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender or LGBT employees report being discriminated against in hiring, promotions, and pay.
Currently, only 21 states have protections for the LGBT community. Virginia is not one of those states.
In our first documentary called Equality for All, we follow the lives of 4 gay men and document their experience in the workforce.
Hey, it's Jackson, radio personality here in Richmond, Virginia for Q94. I've been doing radio for 12 years. Started off as an internship in college, and here I am. I mean, it's everywhere. Hate is everywhere. Homophobia is everywhere. So being a gay radio personality is tough. You have to find the medium ground of not shoving certain things in people's faces, but also being yourself.
For the sake of getting by and doing well in your job, lie so that you don't make somebody else uncomfortable, or lie so that you don't throw a wrench into your professional career by simply being yourself.
I feel more comfortable talking about my relationship with my significant other to the people in theater than I would at a part-time. You know, I didn't want people to know that I had a boyfriend. I was okay with everyone just assuming that I was just a single male who came to work and then left. You know, I could let the people that I do theater with know more about my life.
There is severe inequality when it comes to economics and job discrimination, and even the ability to get hired in some cases or promoted. So the conversation needs to shift in terms of language that everybody understands, and that's economics.
Before I found theater, and actually a lot of times when I'm not in an artistic setting, I guess, I always have to censor myself and like kind of get into myself. I'm actually a very, very outgoing person who is loud and moves around a lot and all of that. But I was never that way at all until I came out and found that outlet.
You have to have thick skin. It doesn't matter where I am in my career, there are always going to be people that say hurtful things. I mean, almost every day I get a phone call. Oh, you're a guy? My name is Jackson. I mean, I don't know how else to take that, but yes, I am a guy, and my name is Jackson, and what can I do for you? So those things are hurtful, though, because I've been a guy all my life, and if they would have met me, they would have been fine with it. So, that's just one thing that happens on a daily basis. So I think that having a strong skin as well, and just brushing those things off and realizing you have so much more to offer than what that person was just saying on the phone.
I've lived in Virginia my entire life. None of this stuff is necessarily astounding or something that completely blows me away. And so it's not in some ways you kind of get used to it. You kind of get used to like the everyday struggles, the little things that you have to do, or you feel that you have to do in order to be treated normally, the same as your coworkers. That when you're just doing it, it's second nature, you don't really think about it, but if you take a step back to think about it, then it's kind of like, wow, that's a bunch of crap that I have to deal with that a lot of other people just don't even think about.
The fact that I sleep with a man in my bedroom does not define me. It's not going to affect you. The way I think someone is defined is by how they treat other people in this world. You define yourself by how you treat other people. That's reflective upon who you are.
Never settle for anything less than who you are. Be authentic. Be honest, not just with the world, but with yourself. Don't ask, just do. And never stop learning.
I chose to do what I do because it's what I'm best at and what I like doing the most. And I just happen to luck out with the fact that that thing that I love doing, which is dancing, is mainly involved in the gay community scene kind of deal.
I feel like what defines me at work are the projects that I've worked on and have done well. The people that I've built relationships with, the job that I do and the way that I do it.
We don't have an agenda, and we're not into you. You know, we're just people, we're just like you. We just do something, we just choose to live our life with a different person.
The best way to overcome those challenges that individuals face, individuals who won't even speak up because they fear some type of reprisal. I don't mean getting beat up or something like that. I just mean feeling less than whole in their place of employment. The only way to truly overcome that is through education and understanding that just as in Tolstoy's War and Peace, the two greatest weapons are patience and time. So we have to be patient, we have to be vigilant, and we have to let time take its course. But we can assist those efforts by educating the public about the importance of workplace non-discrimination policies, equal pay for equal work, and true equal opportunity for all, so that we can all just work happily as Virginians and start talking about something else. I would encourage all Virginians to understand that there is still workplace discrimination for people of all different types, particularly the LGBT community. You can go out and get married this weekend to a same-sex partner, and then after you get back from your honeymoon and you post a wedding photo up on your workspace, you can get fired for that. That's a problem.
I had notions and eventually realized my orientation when I was probably about 12 years old. And I didn't want it. Like I didn't want it at all. And it was really difficult and really hard getting to a place where I did want it and I did like myself again.
I think you always know. And I tell this to everybody, especially those that think it was a choice. If it was a choice, I would have chosen to be straight. I think any gay person or bisexual person would choose to be quote-unquote normal, because I didn't want to be tormented when I was in high school. I didn't want to be made fun of. I didn't want to be called the F word. No one wants that. I wouldn't choose that.
It isn't a choice. It's as little of a choice as to the color eyes we have or the skin we have. It's just part of who we are. And the more we can accept it as something as innocuous as that, and just treat each other as human beings, and focus on the humanity, and look at what unites us rather than what divides us, we can move forward as a society.
Being happy is probably one of the most essential elements of humanity. If you forget what it means to be happy, if there's a process you've gone through in your life to forget something so essential to wanting to get up in the morning as joy, there's no way that's a choice.
I'm Bill Oglesby, an assistant professor in VCU's Robertson School of Media and Culture and the instructor for the documentary class. Joining me tonight are Jade Mallard, Jasmine Brown, and Sylvia Oteno, who actually produced this documentary. Jade, I'll start with you. What motivated you to pick this particular documentary subject?
For us, it was really easy people can always talk about the racial divide that's in our society, but we wanted to do something a little harder that's not talked about, and that's the divide in the LGBT community. And we just wanted to look deeper and open everyone's eyes to that there are still struggles and not everyone is equal, and they should be by 2014.
Did that just pop into your mind, or you just...
It took a lot of research, so we didn't want to take the obvious route to do it, and we actually wanted to challenge ourselves, so that's how we wound up with this topic.
Okay. Well, Sylvia, you know, because I told you that I always encourage my students to choose a topic that they're really interested in. What did you end up enjoying most about making this documentary?
I think the best part of the experience was definitely getting to know our characters. Everyone was different in what they did professionally, but just looking into their lives and what they had to say about their experiences was just an eye-opener, and it's an enjoyable process, I think.
Was it a surprise to you?
Definitely a surprise. This is when we first started talking about what we were going to do for our doc. This isn't where we were going with it, but just talking to people and talking to you, it was clear that this needed to be talked about. I
think we often think that that at times like that they might be a little bit hesitant to have cameras come in, and there's a lot of personal things being related at something like that. Is that did you find were most of your subjects really enthusiastic about you coming and being a part of their lives? They were. They wanted. I feel like they wanted that message to get out there. They want people to be aware of what's going on. So it was they were enthusiastic about it. They were ready to let us into their lives a little bit. Okay. And Jasmine, on the other side, what major challenges did you face with this doc?
Well, one major challenge starting off was definitely time constraints, getting us all on, the same time schedule, because we know that 6 eyes are always better than 2. So we know that it was all of our vision. We wanted everyone to have their input and not just one vision. We wanted it all to come together as a whole. I think a second challenge that we had was definitely presenting a sensitive subject in a professional manner. We didn't want to step on any toes too much. We wanted it to just be presented in a most professional manner as possible. And then the last challenge I think that we had was kind of a lack of B-roll along the way. Our subjects had such great things to say, and the emotion and the intensity in their voice and on their face, we wanted that to be presented, but we didn't want our documentary just to have a bunch of talking heads. So I think those are pretty much sums up all the challenges that we had along the way.
Okay, I've been speaking with documentary students Jade Mallard, Sylvia Oteno, and Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Dr. Oglesby. Richmond has gained national and even international recognition for its diverse range of street art and associated subcultures.
The proliferation of street art in Richmond has attracted both supporters and detractors from government officials and the community.
Artists from both this area and from elsewhere have helped make Richmond's street art scene among the more significant cultural movements in the U.S.
As we see in this documentary called Street Canvas, the RBA Street Festival will return to River City in the spring, bringing with it the goal of creating an even more vibrant arts district.
putting it on a brick building as opposed to putting it on a canvas doesn't necessarily mean it's not art, but I guess I interpret a canvas better than I interpret a brick wall.
Well, art means something different to everybody, and that's the great thing is, you know, in the gallery behind me, there are lots of different murals, and some people love them, some people don't. It's open to interpretation. That's the great thing about it.
Art is everywhere. Art is everywhere. I mean, if you look at that cloud formation right there, it is absolutely amazing. And you look up every day. If you don't look up, you're missing the best canvas in the world. It's there every day. It's always changing. It doesn't cost you a dime.
Art is something that is so much bigger than we will ever be, something we can never understand. It's an aesthetic that we feel inside and makes us realize we're something, we're part of something that's, like I said, bigger than we could ever understand, but we're all together within it. It makes us understand the story that is our lives, our past lives, and it also makes us realize how we sit in the future of today.
Fun. I don't really know. I'm going with colorful or not colorful.
I say expression.
Good one. That one.
I was with a representative and we were walking Broad Street and, you know, discussing plans and what the city had planned and so forth. And I remember the representative proudly said to me, Broad Street is Richmond's window onto the world. And I just turned around and I looked at her and I just said, that is super. There's one small problem. And she said, what? I said, you need to open your draperies.
I was called by a business owner, a computer shop, ALB Tech, and he saw my work and he loved it. And what happened was he loved it so much that he asked me to do a mural on his building. And so the mural was to be an advertisement for his business, and I did it. And he loved that so much that he said, hey, I have this wall in the back. Why don't you do whatever you want on it? And to me that was like, oh, it's awesome. I get to, like, you know, go and do whatever I want to do on the back of this building. And so I did it. And that was the beginning of that piece right there. It really just spoke about how I felt everyone was feeling at that time. Controversy in that story was that there's a bed and breakfast right behind that shop. So that shop came to the business owner of ALB Tech and said, hey, we hate this mural. Please take it down. And in my opinion, they did it in a disrespectful way. There was no conversation about it. It was just threats to be taken down. So we did a little bit of research and found out they really had no grounds to get it taken down. They were threatening to go to the city and whatnot. And so I kind of said, all right, well, I'll take it down. And I made the mural about a censorship.
It was mainly me, Michael Broff, and Hamilton Glass that kind of sat around and decided who we were going to bring in. And that was awesome because we brought in a lot of the folks that I knew from the past. And then Michael had some ideas, and same thing with Hamilton had a couple artists that he really liked that he wanted to try to get, and so it worked out really well. But for me, so if we brought in 30 artists that are kind of internationally known, I wanted to make sure we had 20 or 30 local artists too. And that's been the big difference between us and, say, the Richmond Mural Project, is that I really think there's a lot of hidden talent and a lot of talent in this city that needs to have some international talent brought in to make them kick up their game and to really start doing some great stuff.
Our definition of art gets broader and broader every day. And if people step outside of sort of a traditional definition of art, they will realize so many different outlets that are artistic. Have what's called our Culture Works Grants program championed by Altria. And that is a program that is available to nonprofit organizations that have operating budgets of $500,000 or lower. And that funding for that program comes directly from Altria, and we serve as the manager and the facilitator of that program. That process then allocates the funding based on how much funding we have and how much they've requested. We always get far and above more requests than we can fund.
Well, just like everything else in life, running a city, running a corporation, running a family takes balance. You can't give every dollar to just one silo of government. There's a balance of it, and you have to find it. The city spends a lot of money every year on James River Park. Not everybody uses it, but it's an important cultural aspect and quality of life thing. The arts are just as important. If you totaled up what the arts mean to Richmond in terms of number of jobs, how much economic impact they generate every year, they would be the equivalent of a Fortune 500 company.
A lot of that art is a partnership with people like Hands On Greater Richmond. And with Hands On, you'll grab volunteers from different corporations and you do different cleanups of different neighborhoods, and you have those volunteers help you, help the muralists paint the different murals in different places. You also have them help clean up storefronts so that you can actually put in a shop or put in a viable business in some of those areas that are just kind of dilapidated.
A lot of what Art 180 deals with is offering a chance for young people who don't have an opportunity to kind of develop a different voice for themselves. So we're not taking artists and making them better artists, or even taking kids and making them artists. We're finding young people and allowing them to develop a space for them to communicate in a safe environment and develop a different kind of voice. And a lot of it happens, we found, through art is a great tool to be able to allow young people to kind of express themselves in a way that they never would have thought before.
We found an alley in Shackle Bottom. We got some designers to donate some designs. We scraped together paint. And we thought if we have 20 people showing up over the course of a weekend, we're going to be happy. 150 people showed up without any PR, without any marketing, anything. If this is anything, there is a certain magic that happens with it. I can't explain it, but this seems to be something that people just love doing.
Where are we going with this? How much is enough? How much of the same thing is enough? Can we have some more? Can we have different kind of art other than just paint? You know? I don't know. I've seen enough to where I'm going to stick my head up and say, when's enough? And a lot of people criticize me for it. I mean, pretty strongly.
It would be great to see more community-driven art, but I don't think that there could ever be too much of it. I think art empowers creativity and inspiration, and that's one of those things where I think it affects the mentality of the people.
We're here with the student producers of the Street Canvas documentary, Alexis Carey, Neoma Agumagu, and Montrese Hill. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Not that you had any choice, right? So Alexis, let me start with you. What inspired the three of you to choose this particular topic for your documentary?
Absolutely. I was raised in Westmoreland County, so there wasn't much street art in that area. So when I furthered my education at VCU, I was kind of fascinated on how street art developed in Richmond and how do they decide which artists go with each canvas. So when we had the opportunity to do a documentary, I thought that was a great idea to do.
Mm-hmm. Did you find that most of the people were welcoming of you doing a story on this particular subject?
They were. I really enjoyed a lot of the local artists that we have featured in the documentary, and they were very welcoming into knowing why we wanted to do the documentary as well.
Mm-hmm. Neoma, you saw a lot of what Richmond has to offer as far as street art is concerned. Yeah. What do you think were some of the more memorable pieces that you saw while producing this?
Well, we went to the Canal Walk and we saw so many different by Hamilton Glass and by other international artists. And we also went to GRTC, saw different art pieces, but I would say one of the most memorable art pieces for me had to be The Lady in a Strawberry Jar. And like we referenced in our documentary, it's the third ranked in the world, so it was pretty interesting for me to actually see that myself, and so it was memorable for me.
There's really a wide range of subjects, isn't there, when we're talking
Sure.
about it? I mean, obviously we saw it in the documentary, but
Yes.
a lot of color and some of them are almost scary looking.
Yes, but I guess to the artists, they all make sense in some way. We met not just Hamilton Glass, we also managed to meet initially Michael Broth, who explained some artworks he did that didn't really make sense, but actually when he explained it, it kind of made sense. So
Okay.
I guess looking at it firsthand, it might not make sense, but to them it actually
Montrese, what would you like people to take away from this documentary?
Well, as a native to Richmond, Virginia, I'm very proud of the art that we have around, and I kind of just want from this documentary for the naysayers, for those who don't really like the art too much, is to just keep an open mind. It's temporary, it's not forever. Just embrace what's there right now, and you may find something that speaks to you.
Okay, thanks very much. It was nice. Enjoyed it. Okay, so Alexis Carey, Neoma Agumagu, and Montrese Hill. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thanks again, Dr. Oglesby and all of the documentary students. That does it for this edition of VCU Indepth. Thank you for joining us. I'm Preston Thompson.
And I'm Summer Jamal. For all of us at VCU Indepth, good night.